Okay. We need, guys, you have to know your top formulas for our interest. You're going to have 2 problems that have to do with interest. And you have to know all of the ways that the interest can be compounded: annually, semi-annually, quarterly, monthly, daily, all right? You absolutely have to know how to condense and expand. Condense means smush together. Expand means pull apart. And you're going to have to solve, right? Remember, on your calculator, some of you are still having such a tough time. Logs and exponentials are inverses of each other. E to the x and ln are the inverses of each other. They're on the same button. I tell you guys to kind of get some sort of a routine going through when you're solving these problems so you don't get yourselves confused. Identify your function. Isolate it, then solve. And remember, you cannot take the log or natural log of a negative number. Check your answers. Okay? All right, everything is posted on Canvas. All of this worked out. I just want to go through, I'm going to try to get through all of the highlighted ones. If you guys have questions as I'm going through, let me know. But the beginning, you guys are going to have problems that say condense or expand. It's not going to give you a problem and tell you to condense it, or give you a problem and tell you to expand it. You're going to have to figure out what you need to do. So the first thing I do in problem like number 6, does it look like it's already smushed together, or does it look like it's already pulled apart? It's smushed together, right? There is no number next to my log. What do I assume is there? A 10. Do you have to have it? No. If you want to write it, fine, no worries. So think about, if I'm going to pull this apart, every single thing gets its own log. What is going on in between my x and my y and my z? They're being multiplied. When we expand, what does multiplication become? Addition. So I'm going to rewrite this as log 10. You don't have to write the 10 if you don't want to. X. And then, sorry, I forgot my plus. Plus y plus what? Z to the second. Am I done expanding? Is that as expanded as I can get it? No. What do I need to do? The 2 needs to come in front. Exponents become coefficients. So this would be just log x plus log y plus 2 log z. Remember, ladies and gents, if a number is supposed to be little, it needs to be little when you write it. If I have to guess whether that is a little log-based number or an actual number, I'm going to guess wrong, I promise you. So make sure that you are careful with your writing. Look at number 7. Is number 7 already smushed together, or is it already pulled apart? It's pulled apart. So let's talk about this for a second. What is 6 going to become? The coefficient's going to become an exponent. And what's going to happen with your addition? This is all going to become what? Multiplication, all right? You do not have to do that step. I just think it's a good idea to give yourself a little reminder. So I'm going to write log base 6 one time out in front. And then what is happening to every single term I see? It's being multiplied. So x times y times z to what? The 6th power. If you want to put it in parentheses, that's fine. If you don't want to, that's fine. All right, I'm going to go down here to 10, and then I'll scoot to the left. All right, a couple things going on here. Is this already smushed together or already pulled apart? Smushed together. So I see this. Yeah? What are those? Those are exponents. What are they going to become? Okay, and I see this. What does division become? Subtraction, okay? Guys, could you figure out what 2 to the 3rd power is? What is it? 8, okay. What's 5 squared? 25, all right. If I was asking you to evaluate this, that's what I would want you to do, is I want you to simplify as much as, I want you to just, all I want you to do for condensing and expanding is to pull apart and smush together. I just want you to practice this. So I'm going to rewrite this as log base 7 of 2 to the 3rd minus log base 7 of 5 squared. Am I done? No. What do I need to do? My exponents become coefficients. So 3 log 7, 2 minus, 2 log 7, 5. All right, I know I'm going fast. Slow me down on the video. I'll come back to 8 if we have time. You're not going to have one like that on your test. Look at 11. Same exact thing as the last one. What's the difference? What's the difference here? There's letters, variables instead of numbers. But I'm going to rewrite this as log base 5, a to the third, minus log base 5, b to the third. What do I do with my 3's? They come out in front. All right, good. All right, let's move to solving. Now, when I say, guys, to get some sort of a routine, this is what I mean. You should do the same thing every time. The first thing I always do is I tell people, let's go ahead and figure out what the function is. I have e to the x. So in your mind, what do I have to do to get e to go away? ln, okay? So at some point, you're going to have to take the natural log of both sides here. But I cannot do that until that e to the x is completely by itself. So what's my first step? Add 14. Everybody in here knows how to solve equations. We're going to add 14. So I have 3e to the x equals, what's 11 and 14? 25. Yeah? You guys, yeah? Okay. Is my e to the x by itself yet? No. So I need to do what? Perfect. Divide by 3. So now I have e to the x equals, leave that as 25 over 3. Try to do as much calculations at the very end as possible. Don't do them all throughout the problem, and then you keep rounding and rounding and rounding, because you're going to round everything to whatever decimal place I tell you to. But now that my e to the x is by itself, how do I solve this? You're going to take the ln of both sides. Good. So once I take the ln to the left-hand side, what happens to e and ln? They cancel. Good. And what you do to the left-hand side, you do where? To the right-hand side. So x equals, guys, in your calculator, everybody practice so we don't have questions tomorrow. ln, and just hit 25 divided by 3, close your parenthesis. What do we get? 2.12. All right, we'll do 2 decimal places. Probably 3 tomorrow, so let's just go to 3. Now, how can I know for sure that I got this question correct? I can take it and just plug it right back in. You guys do not have to write down your check. You don't have to show me, but you can literally just hit negative 14 in your calculator. Plus 3, second ln, plug in 2.12, arrow over, so you go back down, and then hit enter. And I got 10.99. Is that real close to 11? Yes. Every time you guys should do that. All right, here we go. This one's a tad bit different. Every single one of these is a little different. I did that on purpose. What do you notice about this natural log and the x? What's in between them? There's a 3. Can I just go ahead and divide both sides by 3 and get the 3 away? No. If it was a coefficient, if it was out in front of the natural log, absolutely. But that is stuck in the middle. You cannot do anything with that until you do the inverse. What is the inverse of natural log? What's the inverse of ln? E. All right, so I need to get that pink rectangle all by itself. So what would I do first? I'm going to add 6. Great. So I have the natural log of 3x equals 6. Is there anything else that I can undo? No. So what's the opposite of our ln? E. So I'm going to write a big ol' E, exaggerate it, and then everything goes up to my exponent. And what you do to one side of the equation, we do where? To the other. So big ol' E to the 6th power. What happens on the left with E and ln? They cancel. So you have 3x equals, what is E? Second, ln to the 6th power. I got 403.429. And now what do I do? Divide both sides by 3. So x equals, divided by 3, 134.476. Yes, ma'am. All right, what can I do here with this x value? I can plug it right back in there. All right, I'm not going to save time, but here we go. Scoot along. Okay, oh, I see parentheses. Woo, that makes this one so much harder, right? No. Is there anything being added, subtracted, multiplied, or divided to this log? No. I have parentheses inside, but there's nothing that I can undo. So now I think, okay, it's a log function. What's the opposite of log, guys? Exponential. Very good. But I don't see a little number that's going to help me figure out what the big base is. It's 10. Very good. So I'm going to use a big 10. It's going to be my base. And then what happens to everything? It goes in the exponent. So log 10, 3x plus 1. What you do to the left-hand side, you do where? To the right. Do you guys notice how I keep repeating myself over and over and over and over again? It's repetition. You're going to do the same thing every time. So what happens with 10 log 10? Cancels. 3x plus 1 equals 100. This is a basic algebra 1 problem now. What do I do to both sides? Subtract 1. 3x equals 99. Divide by 3, and x equals 33. What can you do? Plug it back in. All right, let's go to 17. Well, here we go. Let's do what she tells us to do. Highlight the log. Well, this one's different. This is a natural log, so I know at some point I'm going to have to do what to both sides? The opposite of natural log. E. But I have 2 of the same on one side. What should I do? How would I combine them? Good, you're going to condense. I see that I have 2 logs, natural logs that are the same. I can rewrite it one time. I can say natural log. And then what does that subtraction when we condense become? Division. Awesome, guys. So x divided by 3 equals 4. Everybody with me? Now, there's nothing else I can do. I just have that one natural log on the left-hand side. So what's the opposite of ln? E. So I'm going to write a big E. And then I have ln to the x over 3 equals big E to the what? 4th. What happens with E and ln? So x over 3 equals, what's e to the 4th? 54. Good point. 598. All right, but I want to know what x equals, not x divided by 3. So multiply both sides by 3. And x equals, so times 3, 163.794. Perfect. Good job. Question so far? Again, I know I'm going 100 miles an hour.
If you check it, can you plug it into the condensed version?
Yeah. Good question. What else did I highlight? Ooh, okay. This one's not too tricky. Not too tricky. Let's highlight our log. I see ln. What's the opposite of ln? E. So I know at some point I'm going to E. But is that ln all by itself? No. So what do I need to do? I need to divide both sides by 2. Perfect. So ln 3x equals 2. What's the opposite of ln? E. Big ol' E. What goes up here? ln of 3x equals big ol' E to the 2nd power. 3x equals, what's e to the 2nd power? 7.389. Divide both sides by 3, and x equals what? 2.463. Perfect. Very good, very good, very good. All right, next page. And again, all of these are worked out. All of these are worked out. Now, this one is a tad bit different. This is like the last example we did on our notes yesterday. What do you notice about this problem compared to everything else? How many e's does it have? It has 2. One of them has a 2x. One of them has just the x. Guys, this is a factoring problem. Whenever you have this setup where you have an e to the 2x and an e to the x, it's just a factoring problem. Instead of putting x in front of each parenthesis, what am I going to put? E to the x. Good. And now we factor like we've done all year. What are the factors of -6 that multiply to give me -6 but add to give me -5? X minus 6, x plus 1. Agreed. And then what do I need to do? What's one more step I need to do? Divide both by 2 because your a term is not 1. So I have here e to the x minus 3. You guys agree? And here I have 2e to the x plus 1. And we'll set them both equal to 0. And then we just solve. If I move 3 to the other side, I have e to the x equals 3. What's the opposite of e to the x? ln. So if I take the ln of this side, excuse me, I'm going to take the ln of this side. So I here get x equals, what's the natural log of 3? 1.099. All right. Over here, same thing. Excuse me, we're going to move 1 over and divide by 2. So I get e to the x equals negative 1/2. What's the opposite of e to the x? I'm going to take the natural log here and the natural log here. Well, what happens with ln and e? X equals, guys, if you don't recognize this, don't worry about it. Hit ln, negative 1 divided by 2. What does it say? Error. What does that mean? That one doesn't work. And that's fine. It's totally fine. Don't get upset at yourself. Don't get upset at yourself if you get an error in your calculator. That means something. All right, let's look here. We've already done one problem like this. I told you guys yesterday, if you had 1 log on the left and 1 on the right, that was exactly the same, what could you do? You can cancel them out. But I have 2 on the left and 1 on the right. So what should I do with these 2 on the left? Can I condense them? I sure can. They both have the same little number, right? That 3, so I have plus the x. What's going to happen with the 3 and the x? If it's being added in this problem, what's going to happen with the 3 and the x? What does addition become? Multiplication. So I have 3x equals log 7, 30. So now, guys, notice I have a log 7 on the left and a log 7 on the right. That's exactly the same, right? So what can I do? What can I do with the log 7 on the left and the log 7 on the right? I can cancel them. Good. So this becomes 3x equals 32. Now what? Divide both sides by 3. And x equals what? What's 31 divided by, 32 divided by? 10.666. Good. And what do I need to do with that answer to make sure? I have to plug it in. Why do I need to plug it in? Because the log can't become what? The log cannot become negative. Does it? Thanks, guys. If you plug the 10.666 right there, is that going to be a negative number? No. So you're good to go. But if you have 2 logs that are the same on one side, just smush them together, condense, and then you can cross off stuff that's on the left and the right. It's the epitome of multitasking right there.
Yeah, I was like.
All right, same thing here. What do you guys notice? What do you notice on the left-hand side? You have 2 logs that are what? The same. So how would I smush those together? How would I condense them? I would write it log 2 x plus 5 divided by x minus 2 equals 3. Can you cross off the x's on the top and the bottom? No, don't do that. Those are stuck together. But now what do? What is the opposite of log? Exponential. What's my little number tell me? It's my big base. So I'm going to write a big 2, and then everything goes in the exponent. And what I do to the left-hand side, I do to the right. So 2 to the 3rd power. So 2 log 2 does what? Cancels. I'm going to scoot on over here. So this becomes x plus, I don't need parentheses. This becomes x plus 5 divided by x minus 2 equals what number? 8. You guys agree that's 8 over 1? How do you solve a proportion? You cross multiply. Good. So 8 times x minus 2, forgot the equal sign, equals x plus 5. Distribute. So 8x minus 16 equals x plus 5. Now what? Okay, add 16 to both sides. Good. And what? Subtract x. So 7x equals 21. 7x equals 21. So what does x equal? X equals 3. Can I just circle that and move on and say, oh, thank goodness that problem's over? No. What do I have to make sure of? So if I put a 3 here, 3 plus 5, 8, we're good. If I put a 3 here, 3 minus 2, 1, we're good. What would happen if you got 2 answers, you plugged them both in, and both of them made the log negative. What would your answer be? No solution. Good. All right, you guys are doing great. I'm going to finish these. Here is my function, log little 2 of x. I have two things I need to get rid of, so what do I do first? I'm going to minus 5. You got to get rid of your subtraction and addition first. So I have 1/3 log 2x equals 2. Now I do what? I multiply both sides by 3. Good, very good. So now you have log little 2x equals 6. What's the opposite of log? So I'm going to make 2 my big base. So 2 log 2x equals 2 to the 6th power. What happens with 2 log 2? Cancels. So you have x equals, what's 2 to the 6th power? 64. And since you started off with the log, guys, you've got to make sure if you plug that in there, it's not negative. Is that a negative number, 64? No, then you're good. All right, you guys doing great. One more, 2 more. All right, this has got a lot going on. Whenever you see 2 logs on the same side, what do you think you should always think you should do? Condense. You should always try to smush them together. It's a good rule of thumb. So looking at this, I see a coefficient. What is that coefficient going to become? An exponent, good. And I see this subtraction. What is that going to become? Division. So I'm going to rewrite this as log 4 of x squared over x minus 1. You guys agree with that? Equals 1. Perfect. Now, what is the opposite of exponential? Just kidding. What's the opposite of log? Exponential. So I'm going to write a big, huge what? 4. And then everything goes in the exponent. X squared over x minus 1 equals a big 4 to the 1st power. What happens on the left-hand side with 4 log 4? It cancels. So I'm left with x squared over x minus 1 equals 4 over 1. How do I solve this? Yeah, cross multiply. So you have 4 times x minus 1 equals x squared. So 4x minus 4 equals x squared. Now, I generally like to move everything to the left-hand side, but since x squared is positive already on the right, I'm just going to move everything over there. So I'm going to minus 4x and plus 4. So you have x squared minus 4x plus 4 equals 0. It's a factoring problem, guys. What times what gives you a positive 4 when you multiply and a negative 4 when you add? X minus 2 and x minus 2. So you happen to have the same answer here twice. What is it? X equals 2. Now, before you solve it, circle it, move on, you need to go back way up to the top and make sure what? Nothing becomes negative. So if you put 2 there, you're good. 2 minus 1, you're good. So that's your answer. If you plug it back in and it becomes negative, then it doesn't work. If none of them work, then it's no solution.
You just write it once?
Huh?
You just write it once?
Yeah, that's fine. If you wrote it twice, that'd be fine too. All right, last one. You guys are doing amazing. What kind of a problem is this? I see an e to the 2x and an e to the x. What do I think? It's a factoring problem. This is 3e to the 2x plus 5e to the x minus 28 equals 0. Now, these numbers might get a little big, but that's okay. You guys have calculators. So e to the x goes in the front. 3 times negative 28. What is 3 times negative 28? Negative 84. All right. Factors of negative 84 that multiply to give me 84, but add to give me 5. I'm going to help you out here. Plus 12 minus 7. All right. What's 12 times 7? 84. What's 12 minus 7? 5. Okay. You guys would have to use your calculator. But what do? What do I divide both terms by? I have to divide by 3 because my a term is not 1. So here I have e to the x plus 4 equals 0. And over here I have 3e to the x minus 7 equals 0. So on the left, when I subtract 4 from both sides, I get e to the x equals negative 4. What do you guys know about that? Okay, don't worry about it. What's the opposite of e to the x? ln, okay? Take the ln of both sides. What's the natural log? What's the ln of negative 4? Huh? Doesn't work. No solution. Cross it off. So over here, I'm going to add 7 and divide by 3. So I get e to the x equals 7 over 3. What's the opposite of e to the x? ln. So I'm going to take the ln of both sides. I get x equals, what is the natural log of 7 over 3? Natural log 7 divided by 3 is what? 0.847. And what can you do with that? You can plug it back in and check. Okay, you guys are ready. Tomorrow, all of the answers are on modules, so they're for you to look at. I will upload this video in just a little bit. Thank you. Okay, bye.